Hello to all my badass friends. Thank you for tuning in. Let me just occupy your time. Whether you happen to be on your commute or a jog or a dog walk or however you listen to this show, and I'm interested in how you listen to this show, I think that people will never work harder as when they're trying to close a ticket. This might sound like a bit of a rant, and I apologize if that's true, but I had two different support experiences this week. Now, I both give support experiences and I receive them. And I think there's a massive, massive difference. I think we measure people on the wrong stuff. And because we motivate and measure, in this case, thinking about support, because we measure on tickets closed, we tend to focus on that rather than the thing we should be measured on, which is providing awesome service. I think the rest of them you can let go of. Now, you might like to argue for or argue against, but here's what I know. The refusal to measure on awesome work, whether that's quality, customer delight, and instead choose the finicky productivity metrics instead, potentially corrupts every human interaction that we have when we're dealing with an organization of scale. So let me give you an example. I had two interactions this week with support teams that involved crappy performance from support. And in both cases, the problem was they spend more of their time calling me to make sure that their asses were covered, that they were blameless in the event of failure, that they ticked all the boxes and can tell their bosses that they do a good job, than they were in providing amazing service. In one case, the service was just sarcastic, arrogant, rude, and seemed to have no interest in whether or not I was able to get a solution to my problem, which was, I don't call support unless something is challenging, difficult, unclear. So, I don't press one to say, hey, how do I log in? But I was really struggling with getting something. Something was supposed to work. I followed a bunch of detailed instructions to a T, and the thing failed. So I went all the way around this big long loop to end up exactly where I started, and I had no idea what I did wrong. So when I went to support, got a little bit of attitude, got a little bit of that stuff, to the point where I didn't really want their help. I didn't really want to interact with them. So I just kind of scratched my head for a bit, took a 5-minute breather, spent an extra 10 minutes that I thought I didn't have time for, solved the problem myself, and at the end they're like, how awesome were we? If you really enjoyed our interaction today, make sure you give me a 5 out of 5 for giving you a great experience and awesome support. Okay. But the thing is, they didn't actually want to do the work required to earn that. Now, when I didn't respond, they kept coming back and saying, hey, we got to close this ticket. You know that, right? And hey, is there anything else I can do for you? Because we got to close this ticket. And hey, haven't heard from you yet. Just checking to make sure everything's okay. Is there anything else I can do to get that 5 out of 5 and close this ticket? And finally, if you don't answer by tomorrow, we're just going to go ahead and close this ticket. They spent more time doing that than they did trying to provide amazing service. Now, on the other hand, I went to one of those big software companies to whom I pay to, run some services that I run some of my platforms on, and some of my data went missing. Something just didn't work, and it was not user error. You can see where I did everything right, and then all of a sudden, data went missing. So when I went to them and said, hey, here's me doing everything right, where'd my data go? Can you help me? And keep in mind, at no point am I rude, brusque, impatient, any of those things. I'm interested in helping them help me. So I like to be the best phone call that they got all day. That makes me happy. And they tried. They're like, well, we'll go to our, I can't solve this for you, but I got to go to my back-end team. So they went to the back-end team doesn't answer. 1 day passes, 2 day passes, still not answering. 1 week passes, 2 weeks pass, 3 weeks pass, still not answering. Still waiting on my team. Every day they phone me and email me and spend 5 minutes just to tell me that they haven't solved my problem yet, but they're waiting. So finally, a couple weeks later, they're saying, yeah, if you want to get your data back, there's a place that you can go to get it, but you have to get it within 21 days or it's not recoverable. And I'm like, well, what day are we at? And it was like 28 or 35. It was just past the window. So I said, well, it took you so long to get that info back to me that it looks like we've passed the window here. And they're like, well, that's your fault. To which I said, pardon? And they went, yeah, we tried to call you yesterday. You weren't home. So you see, we tried, but you weren't there. And I was like, wait. Hang on 1 second here. The problem was not me answering my phone yesterday or not answering my phone yesterday. The problem was it took you 5 weeks to solve a problem that we only had 21 days to solve. So here I am offering services to my customers. I've got no data. We have a problem here. And then they start running scripts on me. I understand how frustrating it can be. I understand how you feel. But unfortunately, there's nothing further we can do to help you. So I thought at this point, fine. 5 weeks later, I don't think my customers even noticed that they didn't fix the problem. So okay, is what it is, moving right along. But then they spent the next week saying, I really have to close this ticket. And hey, if you got awesome service today, make sure you give me a 5 out of 5. My name is Marco, or whatever his name was. And again, and again, and again. And so the exact same experience. They spent more time trying to make sure that all their ducks were in a row, way more than they did trying to make sure that their customers were satisfied. Now, again, this might sound like a squawk session, but it isn't meant to. I'm not naming any names here. All I want to do is point out that because we measure people on tickets closed, that's what your people are going to focus on. Now, I recently did an episode on how the dollars still matter, but the dollars don't come from customers. When you close 100 tickets instead of 80, that'll save you some money, but it will not generate revenue for you, and it certainly won't help you get revenue back if you lose it. What will help is delivering home run, awesome, best-in-class service. And these were two very large organizations that have failed to learn that lesson yet. So you know what? You know who I appreciate? Every once in a while you meet support people who don't run scripts on you. You meet support people who go above and beyond. You meet support people who don't say what they think you want to hear, but rather do what they know is best for you and your business. But when you measure things like closed tickets, average handling time, cost to resolve, and so on, you're setting yourself up for failure. Lesson learned. So how do you stack up as an individual, as a team, as a company? How do you provide amazing service? Okay, guys, that's something to chew on for today. I want to thank you for tuning in. Why not give the new Shuffle app a try? It's a place to listen to this podcast and all your favorites while interacting with the makers like myself and the other fans out there. It's a great way for you to let me know how you're finding these episodes, how they're helping you, and how they're impacting you in your day-to-day. Check it out. But as always, you can find us in the usual places. On Instagram at Badass Agile, on Twitter at Badass_Agile. Don't forget to look for us on YouTube, where we're doing lots of new stuff, and check out our LinkedIn page as well. I thank you very much for your time and attention. I look forward to next time, and until then, stay badass.